Everybody, Engineered Coffee, welcome back to Mars. Last episode we built this logistics center behind us. We still got to do some programming to it, and then we've got some elevator controls that we need to build on the other side of the airlock. But this episode is episode 50. I can't believe we're here already. It's been almost a year of this series, and a year of me on YouTube, really. And we're at like 7,200 subscribers. Incredible. So I want to go through this episode and go through a tour of where we are, kind of a nostalgia route, and then also kind of a catch up for people that don't want to go back and watch, 49 other episodes to figure out where we are. Because I know it can be a little intimidating sometimes to get into a series and you're like, well, it's episode 50, I don't even want to start it. So this is going to be kind of a recap episode, hopefully nostalgic for those that have been around, and hopefully informative for those that are new. Alright, well, before we go on the world tour, I want to go over to our server and show you the race event that we've got going on that we're hosting through our Discord. So try to entice you guys to join over there and join the race event. It is a lot of fun. So let's snap right over there. Alright, here we are on the server. This is kind of the pit stop area. This is where everybody has been manufacturing their ships. You can kind of see all the different variations that we've got going on. It is really cool. People have come up with some really clever designs and totally different designs. It is amazing what we put some restrictions on here. You've got to use certain motors, certain ion engines. There are mods though, but everyone has come up with just kind of a different design, and I love it. And the race course is pretty fun, so let's go ahead and head over there. Alright, here we are at the starting line. We've got the ring race that you pass through, and you can see that there are various other rings around the asteroids here. So let's go ahead and hop into first person. Alright, here is my racer. This is the gotta go fast. So I figured with a ring race, you gotta go with the Sonic theme, right? So let's go ahead and hop in. So definitely join the Discord and join this race. It is a lot of fun. I think we've got like 15 or 16 rings or something. We're only using like 11 checkpoints at this point. We're going to be doing kind of some switch ups. We're going to change the race around, change the course, the routing and all that stuff to try to give some fair advantage to those that are new and those that have some experience on the course. So definitely come and check it out. It is a lot of fun. All right, let's go ahead and head back to Mars and go through the world tour. All right, I'd like to thank all my members, but I'd like to thank my newest members, Dr. Fried Parts, TT Maggie, and Gavin Lauder. If you would like to join, there should be a button down below. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, and let's get on with the world tour. All right, so here was our humble beginnings. This is our starting outpost, and it actually was like 3 episodes that we did. So there was 1 episode at the very start. It was a little rough, definitely monotone voice. Not that I have much better now, but a little bit more nervous for sure. But it was a shorter episode, just got the exterior of the building done. Then I think episode 2 was the interior space. All right, and here in episode 2, we did the interior decorating. So we got our little kitchen, dining, living space in here, and then we've got our bedroom with multiple beds. So I think you can sleep, what, 4 in here? Pretty comfortably, and you got some bathrooms and all sorts of stuff in here. So definitely a cool utilization of space, I think, for how compact this guy is. All right, and later on in episode 5, we added this landing pad up here on the top. Turned out pretty good. We eventually changed it out for this small connector for our other ships, but this was our starting base before any of this was a thing. All right, next up is episode 3 and 4. We did the excavator. So this is to mine all the boulders around Mars. So this was our initial resource gathering, was all of these boulders that are dotted around Martian surface are just great for all your initial resources. So built this guy to drill it on. So let's go ahead and walk through him a little bit. Turn my HUD back on so I can see. So this is all remote controlled and vanilla controlled. So we'll get into the remote control here. And if we look on the side here, we have some clamps that we extend down at the bottom between the wheels there. Locks onto the ground, that makes us a little bit more stable. 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all a bunch of hinge and rotor locks, so now we can move the excavator here. And so I've got 2 turret controllers set up for our various arms. So number 1 does this main arm up and down, and then it also swings the body. Then you gotta hit F and get back into the other control to control the other 2 armatures here. The elbow and the wrist, I know there's other names, boom, and other stuff like that. That's basically all that one does, and then you've got a drill on the end that you can turn on. Let me make sure that we are not in tunnel mode real quick. We are in terrain clearing mode, that's not great. There we go, and we just set this guy up basically like this, and used it to drill out rocks, which turned out pretty good. And this is actually where I get most of my secondary material. We have an iron mine, but for the other stuff like cobalt and nickel, we're not really using that much. We're using motors. We don't really have any heavy grid stuff going on. So this is the main way of getting material. I was kind of going for a little bit more sci-fi look, but it turned out a little bit more industrial, and that really steered the direction of most of this series, is turning into more of an industrial style playthrough. All right, next up we had a couple episodes of the tardigrade here, which is just a drone we had to connect onto the top of the excavator here to get all the ores off of it and bring it back to that landing pad over there on the original outpost base. So we did have a large connector on it at some point for this guy to connect up, but now they go to silos, which I'll show a little bit later. But we went through a couple iterations of this. It had a different face on it, and the controls have been adjusted, I think, I don't know, a dozen times over this episode. Drones are a little chaotic sometimes with the AI. They work great sometimes, other times not so much. But this guy is basically just commanded to go pick up material from here. All right, let's go ahead and fly him back to base and get the excavator parked back up. All right, so here is our original Skeeter. This guy has gone through a lot of changes, but this is basically just the idea of it was to deploy it out, drop it with some parachutes, and have it to defend the perimeter of our base here. So it's just got an autocannon turret on it, some batteries, some legs that sprawl out, and some parachutes. All right, and then next up here we built a refinery building. So this got our main refinery in it with our yield modules. So here we've got the entry lobby, kind of security gate station thing. Let's see if this airlock is working. I don't think it is. No, that's depressurizing, but got a little security setting checkpoint here. I kind of want to make it look like it was an afterthought, like this used to be a normal lobby, but we've now militarized this base. All right, let's head over this direction. Here we've got our security office that we saw from the door. Control the airlock that way. We've got our locker rooms over here for all the workers to get changed. And then through here we've got another little mini airlock. Go ahead and close that guy down. This guy heads out to our 2 refineries here that both have full yield modules on them. And just kind of leads up into some space up here at the top. Must be processing that cobalt that we just got with the excavator. Nice. Here we got our little reception desk, waiting area, a little kitchenette for the workers to work at, and then we can head upstairs. Got some Willis ducts that go all the way around. All right, and then up here at the top, this used to be office space with like cubicles and stuff, and then the update came out, and so we changed it into kind of a mobile lab. So we've got some desks, and in here we've got our more heavy-duty lab with our refrigerators and sink and all that stuff. Really just playing around with the new blocks was the point of squeezing it into here. And then around the corner here, we've got a small little employee bathroom. All right, and here is the director's office. They've got their wooden desk over here, some couches, mini bars, and their own private bathroom over here as well. And then this vent here through the floor allows the air from over there to get into here when the door is closed, so it still is able to have the door closed and get oxygen without having to have its own vent. Then out here is another airlock to get outside. This is the door into that refinery room that we were before. We've got some roof space here and a catwalk over to our original base. And that is pretty much it for this one. All right, so here we've got the peanut mine. It's basically two of the outpost circles just kind of smushed together to make a peanut shape. And now we have an iron mine over here. So here we've got our unpressurized space. This is the mine shaft to go down to our resources down there. Just random storage and some lab equipment and stuff over here. On the center spine here, we've got our airlock cargo container. It's got a survival kit and basic refinery and that type of stuff. We've got a large kitchen over here. More cargo access. I think this is our H2 generator. It is. Don't have any ice in it, so that's a thing. Big dining room table here for 6 people. Big living room area for our employees. Little broadcast area over here, little control room. And then over here is our main bunk rooms. We've got a lot of bunks in here. I think we can sleep 6. Yeah, and then they've got their own couple sets of bathrooms. So I think that turned out pretty nice. All right, up here on the roof, we got a couple turrets here to help defend against any spawns. We do have the assertive mod on. Looks like we got some Gatling ammo still, so that's good. And then we got a little mini landing pad here for another tardigrade. So this tardigrade runs from this base over to the main base to give us our materials to the refinery. And then here in a later episode, we added this guy to just drop ore into a truck that we'll get into a little bit later. But that's basically just ore delivery when the drone was not delivering it fast enough for us. All right, here in the peanut, I do want to finish this elevator here. I think we need to get that done, or at least the shaft done for this episode. So we'll probably just either drill this out or we will just sacrifice it so we don't need it anymore. Not really sure which way to go, but we definitely need to finish out this shaft. We don't have that much left to mine out. I might just hand drill it and just lose that stuff because we've got iron for days. This guy keeps going. So let's go ahead and just drill it out as much as possible, and then let's try to finish this elevator. All right, it took a lot of work, but we've got an elevator in here now. So now we can get to each floor. It's pretty rudimentary. I don't have anything, you know, crazily programmed. It's just go to each floor, and there's no doors, so good luck. I might put the glass doors on here now that I think about it, but I kind of like the openness of it. It's supposed to be kind of an industrial elevator. So we go down to the middle floor. It's a little bit jerky. It's like 12 pistons, though, that we're sitting on, so yeah, just put some lights in every once in a while just to get it a little bright. I feel like I should probably turn the range down. I feel like that's a little too much light for a mine shaft. Here we are on the middle floor. We've got our iron that we've been mining out up here somewhere. There it is. It's the nickel mine. So we definitely need to fix that up, but that's all right. We got the elevator in, and I'm happy about that. And then we're down to the cobalt hole and the other, there it is, the other nickel hole. So there is our gigantic shaft there. And then if you're feeling like a masochist, there is a ladder here. You can climb all the way up. All right, let's go up here to the top and go to the next building. I think we're gonna go look at the assembler. All right, so next up we did these ore silos here, made a parking spot for the clay excavator, and then we worked on this assembler building over here. Definitely needed all the iron because that's where we ran out. So we built the peanut mine, get the iron to be able to build this base. So we've got our ingot and assembler processing in here. Over here we've got a garage that we really never used. This was intended to be the original Hemmet spot, but then we built a warehouse over there, which we'll get to. But in theory we have a garage space in here, another little security area, a gun, and a security station up there. to be able to block people getting into the main base. We've got an airlock system here. Let's go ahead and hit the button. Should close those doors. There we go. Pressurize the space. Once pressurized, this door opens and we're good to go. All right, over here is our ingot storage, just 4 large cargo containers that are segregated out. I believe this one is the iron, that one has cobalt, nickel, then this is like our specialty one with gold and other things in it. Platinum and uranium. Gold and silver is probably over in that one. On this side is our assemblers. We definitely don't need this many assemblers, but it just looked cooler. So we've got 4 assemblers in here. Just got some Willis ducts up here at the top that kind of crawl around just to fill in the space. All right, this area is just a warehouse. Got some racking in here with some scaffold. Just every other one is scaffold, so then you can get blocks in between, kind of make it look like it's filled with stuff. Through here is the sky bridge across the roadway here to get into our refinery building. So this is what we just toured earlier. These doors are just on a sensor that they open and close when they're in and out of range. There we go. And then up here we've got our little security office. We can see over into our airlock back there. This leads up to our control tower, which has got a nice view of the base. Back down around over here, we've got a bathroom over here for pilots and these guys that work in the control room. Then we will go through our airlock here. Let's go ahead and depressurize. All right, out here on the landing pad, we've got the Sand Shark. This guy was built for the Contact update, so this is actually an old blueprint that I had that we kind of modified and made a little bit modern. It's definitely got some damage and missing pieces on it. It's been through some stuff, but it's also a little bit sluggish. We replaced it later with a different fighter, but this is a nice little gunship, I think. See, on the back side of the Sand Shark here, it is missing, but this used to be a hook that would lift off and it would pick up those skeeter turrets, and we could drop them off from this ship. And so that's what this little empty spot here was for, was to take the turrets and drop them off. And I think we used it once or twice, but it was a little bouncy and clangy. Alright, we also built these pedals around the landing pad, and these in theory are just kind of there for blocking the exhaust to divert it up, so it doesn't blast into the building and blast around. That's kind of the theory of them. They used to lay a little bit more flat, but we have this catwalk around here that we needed to walk around. So they don't quite go down as far as they used to. But when we undock here from the landing pad, let's see, it's hit number 7. There we go. The pedals go up. They're able now to deflect our exhaust, and the lights and stuff turn on. Oop, let me have inertial dampeners on. That's not great. Yeah, so this is our original fighter here. So it was based off of a vector thrust model that I had, but in this world we're not using scripts, so it turned out to be a little bit big and a little bit sluggish, but we used it for a little bit. Now it just mostly just parks here. All right, and then up here we have our SCADA system that we worked on. It's only got half the stuff done on it, so I think I would like to complete that in this episode. I'm trying to get all this stuff buttoned up so I can get it released onto the workshop, at least in the state that it is for episode 50 here. So we've got the SCADA system. It's tracking which tardigrades are docked. Tar D is over at the Peanut right now, so he's not docked up. Clank Excavator is. And then we've got our ore silo storage. There is nothing going on in there. It is empty. Our refineries are on. We've got our iron here. We changed the iron one up here that it changes color as it goes up, and it turns black when it's not in use. So we're at 8% right now, I think, or 7%. And I think it turns a little bit darker at 8 and then turns totally green at 9. And this required a lot more event controllers here on the back. So you can see that this guy has, what, 12 event controllers here to control that instead of just the 4 for each light strip. So we might get to that. We'll put some more event controllers on, but my biggest concern is the other half over here. So this guy is completely empty still. In theory, this is going to be our ingots going into our assemblers, and then that was going to go into our component storage. And then we ended up doing something a little bit different with our component storage than just tracking how full our components are. So let me come up with a little bit of an idea here, and then we will start working on it. All right, there we go. I think this one will work. We've got indicators for each one of our stacks. Oh, I didn't label these. Let's do that real quick. All right, there we go. Now they're labeled. So now we got the bottom, the middle, and the top. These are the lights to indicate what containers are full. All right, so these will mostly be off. We've got containers on some of them, but these will indicate what containers are loaded in our warehouse and what trucks are loaded in our warehouse. So we have this similar set up over in the warehouse building. So we can piggyback off of that event controller, I believe. Let's go ahead and just hide these labels now that I'm done. So yeah, back over here in our warehouse, we've got these indicator lights that are on. So these are the lights we need to mimic over on the other side. And on the backside of these are some event controllers. Let's see if we can find those. I really wish there was a way to filter on just the grid you're looking at, because I know they're attached to this subgrid. We just got to find them. All right, there we go. We've got all of these on the list for the stack. So all we're going to do is how it turns on and off these lights. We're going to just turn on and off the lights that we just created. All right, last one. 5T on, then off. There we go. Now all of those event controllers are set up to match this, and now I need to remember we have 5 and 4, and then 2 on 1. All right, let's go back to the SCADA system and update our thing accordingly. On the way over here, I was thinking we can actually do this automatically. We can go ahead and disconnect all the connectors and then reconnect them, and it should discover it. So if I do the stack connectors here and I unlock, there we go, turn all the ones off, and I lock again. That didn't work at all. Why is that? Oh, it's that it was never locked, that it's not going to work. Okay, I'm with it now. So I do have to come in here and manually turn them off. They will turn on if there's something there to connect to, but it won't work otherwise. So we need to turn these off, and then it will work. There we go. Now our indicators are up of which one is actually connected there. All right, so the trucks up here, they're determined occupancy by the sensor, and so I need to find the bay sensors. There we go. A, B, and C dictate that one. So if I go in here, there we go. Now we should find an empty spot. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to do this one manually. I know which one is on. We just drove over here, and we only have one Hemmet, and it is Bay A. All right, there we go. We've got a SCADA system expansion here. We might put the skeeter bays or something over on this spot, but that definitely fills it in a lot more than it was, for sure. So that's good. I did end up replacing the one here in the floor. I had a cargo access, so now we have a cargo terminal, which I think looks all right. It definitely closes up the gap here. It's actually square, so that's nice. I don't know about having a thing in the floor, but it's nice having cargo access around here. All right, let's continue on with the tour. And this is probably one of my favorite builds in the entire series here is the Hemmet. I think it turned out pretty good. It's fairly simple, but looks pretty cool. And it's got a hook lift on the back here to haul our cargo containers. We came up with a more elegant solution over there at building number 4. But in theory, the nose hook on this guy was supposed to hook up to the skeeters to charge their batteries and refill them with ammo, but we ended up changing the skeeters entirely. So this truck has kind of just become a multi-purpose truck. So it's hauls cargo. I've got a camper for the back. The nose hook we don't really use that much, but it's a cool looking truck. I like it. All right, let's go ahead and head over to the warehouse over here. All right, this one is definitely the heaviest on the automation that we've done, I think. Maybe the skeeter factory is a little bit more intense, but this one turned out really cool. So we'll go ahead back here into the bay. We're in bay number 3. There we go. You can hit the button for the truck clamp alignment. Basically just get some clamps up here, adjust the truck to where it needs to be, locks it on, and then they drop back down. There we go. Now we're connected up to the system. It also unlocks our container here, so it's ready to be lifted off. So what we've got here is a bridge crane warehouse. So we've got all of our storage containers here on the back wall, and then a bridge crane overhead that can pick up the containers, put them on the wall, and carry them back to the trucks. All right, in this basement room, we've got the brain of the operation. So I've got all of these event controllers and timers that is doing all the operations for it. The workshop warehouse here has this guy much better planned out. It's actually more of a wall, and you can kind of see what each one of these things does. instead of this compact little thing here. So let's go ahead and close the door on that. I think I've got a med babe down there too, just for respawn and healing up. That was before we had all the refill stations. That leads over to another building over there. This is our, I don't know, logistics officer. Somebody's office tucked over here in the storage room. I think it turned out pretty good. He's got a little corner office window. We got a hallway down here. There's a restroom. I wonder if we should take that off and put the sliding door. Let's do that. All right, there we go. We got a restroom with a glass door now and a sink. I think that looks a little bit better. Let's go ahead and close that up. Over here, we've got the automated doors across the sky bridge here to go into the assembler and ingot storage that we toured earlier, and the command center is above there. All right, and then over here to the left is the control room for the bridge crane. So this is the wall we looked at a little bit earlier when we were looking at the SCADA system. It just shows what trucks are occupied and what stacks have containers on them. So now we've got bay C occupied, and then here is the control center. So we can select which bay we want to load or unload from. Let's go ahead and unload C's, I don't know, teal? I don't know what color that is. We'll unload it onto, let's go bay number 4. Why not? So we're going to unload from the truck, so we hit this button. Alright, of course we're on Mars, so we have a dust storm, so that's a thing. But we got that container unloaded here onto spot number 4 from our Hemmet over there. I think this warehouse turned out really cool. It's got some catwalks across the top, and up here at the very top, let's go up here on this side. And up here on the mezzanine, we have some battery packs, and then there's some solar panels up above it. And then in here is our welding ship. Right in here we have the Lobster. For a long time we were welding stuff by hand or with just welders attached to the base. Finally got a welding ship when we built the warehouse, and I ended up basically just converting a container into a ship. And we painted it red, or we used the red container, and so the name Lobster got stuck on that one. So we just slapped some thrusters on the side, some armatures on the front here, and then I've exchanged out some batteries and other things in the process as well, just to give it a little bit more lifting power. But that is basically the ship there. All right, and then here on the wall we have the tool exchange device, or TED, and it exchanges out the welders for grinders here on the hinges. So we had these hinged arms so we could point downwards and upwards to get welding, and then it led to some automation that we can actually switch the tools out by just detaching the hinges. So let's go ahead and hit this button and see if it's going to work today. There we go, the top arm comes over, grabs that one, detaches. It'll move back and they'll swap. That guy should slide in, there we go. And attach, and there we go. Now we have 2 welding arms on our Lobster. Alright, let's get a little bit more light in here. Let's open up this bay door here on the roof. So we got a button panel right here that we can press. There we go. And then I've just got this middle button here to lock it, just so it doesn't bounce around so bad. Let's go ahead and get into the Lobster. So from within the Lobster here, I have button number 1 and 2, so we can actually exchange the tools while we're inside the craft. You just got to make sure you're docked up. All right, there we go. Now we can swap tools from within the ship. Well, there is the welding ship, the Lobster, and TED. Let's go ahead and head to the next project that we did. Let's close this door up. There it goes. So if we head down this way, we've got batteries again on this side with some solar panels on the roof. Walk down here to get down back into our control center for the crane. All right, so in here is the SCADA factory. So the factory's on the other side of these airlock doors. We'll go over to this commercial area a little bit, but let's go over here first. All right, so in here we have the sorting room. So each one of these containers has one single product in it. So this one's got detector components and antennas, motors, The sorters basically just suck from our main inventory system into each one of these card containers, and it goes green. It's happy, it turns off the sorter, and then all of that gets fed back through over to the factory. So we've got inventory full, which means we have every component, which means we can produce a skeeter. Right, and then over here, it's basically like this was a civilian factory making tardigrades, and now we've kind of militarized it and made some skeeters, so some of the commercial stuff still remains. All right, so here we got the Little OK Burger. This is an inside joke with my daughter. I was barbecuing and asked her how my burgers were, and she just said, they're a little okay, and she was 4, so that was fun. All right, and then over here we have the engineered coffee corner, because of course we've got to have a coffee place. So this one has just got our little robot barista friend. He's just moving randomly. He used to have a coffee attached to that mag plate, but doesn't really seem to last very long before it disappears, and it is not a trash cleanup thing. It just, like, sometimes it'll be below. Sometimes his mag plate will get stuck to the wall, so it didn't really work out. So then we just got little coffee things. They're just on mag plates that are stuck to the desk, so they are unpowered, but I think it looks cool. And then over here, this gets back to our refinery building. So this is the lobby over here that we started the tour with. We have a complete loop around. All right, let's head upstairs here to the factory control rooms. All right, in here we've got 4 bays to produce skeeters, so I went with a Ninja Turtle theme. There's Donatello over there. We'll see the other 2. And then this is where Leo gets produced. So let's see if this is working today, and if we can produce a Leo. Well, it's definitely more jittery than I remember, but at least we got it welded up, so that's working. All right, let's go ahead and tour through here, and then we'll go downstairs and take a look at it. All right, so each one of these rooms is basically the same. We're just producing different skeeter drones. There is Raphael out there, and then in here is the tardigrade factory. So this one is a little bit more improved. It's got all of the stuff hidden, so let's go ahead and see if this guy wants to work today. Alright, well that was semi-successful. We're clearly out of materials on something. Probably motors, it looks like, because a lot of those thrusters are not welded up. It's probably all over at the apartment complex, and I've got the 2 conveyors disconnected at this point, just to try to save some sim speed. But let's go ahead and head downstairs and take a look at it. Alright, well, definitely missing motors. That is our problem there. And then it just missed some blocks as well. I'm not sure exactly why, but that's alright. I got it for the most part. It was really about the mechanism to get this guy out of here. We can always just project this guy again and get all of that welded up. That's not too bad of a deal. What else did it miss? Oh, yep, more motors up here for the heat vents. More motors there for the conveyors. Okay, well, definitely didn't have enough motors. That's okay. We will probably just dispose of this guy anyway. Alright, let's go ahead and head downstairs here. This is where all the controls are. Alright, so here is all of our different welder positions. So we've got different hinges on here, so each one of them gets a different position, and the rotor as well. So that's what we've got here. We've got hinge 1, 2, and 3, and the rotor, and the speeds for all of them, so it gets it all welded up from each section. And then all of that is controlled by all of these sequences, which looks like I never got labeled. So I don't know how many are actually being used. I don't know if we went all the way down. I think we just filled up the space. But in theory, it does one sequence and then the next, and it goes all the way through the list. All right, here's Raphael. He's got an assault cannon on him. The other ones have auto cannons. And then we can go downstairs here and take a look at these controls. So these ones are actually labeled. So it has the move to the body, and then it welds it, goes through and tilts it, and attaches the first leg, and spins around. Let's turn on our light. So I've got these little cables here. So once it tilts the body, it is also doing a subsequence to move the legs and weld them and extend them out to the body. And then it all gets attached and moved. And then the crane over here connects the drone, retracts the lift, and the door closes. Those things are all to get the guy out of the bay. So yeah, this project was a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff to it. Really fun episodes for sure. Alright, well, before we do more with Leo here, let's go ahead and go upstairs and do the rest of the tour of the factory here. There's one more section that we need to go explore. I believe this guy's working. It is. We just need to get some lights or something on here that it's cycling. You just got to get in range of the sensor, and then when you get over onto this side, it cycles the airlock. I just need to get the rest of that done on the other 3 doors. There we go. Now we're back into our coffee shop area and the little OK Burger. We'll go ahead and head all the way upstairs. This is the monorail station, so we head underneath the track here. To the other side, there's a bathroom that connects the 2 hallways together. All right, so let's head upstairs here. We've got advertisements. This is the monorail waiting station. So that gets out to the monorail itself. Here's just some waiting area couches. The clock is up here in theory. There it is. The weather is there. That's supposed to be the clock, I believe. Then over here in the corner, we have Martian mementos, and we just have a few things on mag plates. So we've got our little plushies and our little jukebox, and there's our little kiosk behind there. Just something to kind of fill this corner up. Open the doors here. So here's our monorail. I'm sure you have seen it in the intro. I'm standing in the door apparently. Yeah, it's kind of a weird quirk that it vents out the space even though it's pressurized in here. Yeah, we're in full high pressure, but this guy doesn't care. Small grids are kind of funny that way. But now once we get inside, it gets pressurized, so we've got just some seating. All right, let's go ahead and get into the cab here, and we'll kind of drive it out just a little bit. Still need to do a lot of automation to this guy. Let's see, on my toolbar here, I need to hit number 7 to get the pressurize on, or depressurize on, so it sucks the air out. There we go. Now our doors are back on, which means we can open them. Alright, out here in Spectator, you can see the doors open, and then that guy flips around, and now we have our track ready to go. Alright, well there is our monorail in all of its glory. It's got some turrets up on the top. In theory, we're worried about drones as we're traveling along that are going to attack us. They mostly stay away from us from the monorail, but they like to attack the corner of the base, which we'll show off a little bit later. Alright, so it's got wheels here on the side to keep it aligned, and then it's got these driving wheels underneath that are actually riding on top of the track. And so the car here, or the cab, is the actual trolley, and then it connects with a hinge in here that goes back into the cab, and then there's a trolley here that connects the two with a little bit of a bendable piece there, so it can go up and down slopes. We really don't have much of a slope between here and the apartment. But it's basically just a twin on the other side, and I totally reprinted it, and this I think is supposed to be number 2, but that's fine. Alright, well before we go into the other factory over there, let's go ahead and get that skeeter and show off the shredder. Alright, well in the interim of building that monorail, we had a few failures with the trolley. We also built this little snub fighter to help us out, take on some drones and some assert around here. So this is what we came up with. It's a lot less sluggish than the sand shark over there on the other landing pad. Let's go ahead and hop in. All right, and then here on the toolbar we have number 4, which sends a signal to our skeeter to follow us. Each one of them's got a separate distance that they follow us from. I think he's set up on 50 meters. So we can take these guys into battle with us when we go out and raid. And we've got some skeeters following us. And they have some AI defense on them that when an enemy gets in range, they stop following us, fire on the enemy. And then when it's all clear, they come and follow us again. Alright, well, we've got plenty of stuff to tour. We're not going to go on a raid today, but I want to show off the shredder over here. So over here, I did add some tanks. I don't know if I showed this on camera at all. Basically, because we're getting attacked by a bunch of drones, they are just deforming the heck out of the voxels here. And they just smashed to bits a big hole over there, so I just covered it up and put a tank there just to try to get it look a little bit nicer. Those will probably explode, I guess, when a drone hits it. It's probably the worst thing to put there. Alright, so here is the shredder pit. So it's like an industrial grinder that spins around and chomps up stuff. It doesn't really work to grind up material. It is just kind of there for looks. It spins around and then it drops the stuff into the pit here that actually has grinders down there to grind it up. So the theory is when these guys are done, we just send them to the pit to grind up and we just build a new one. Because in theory they'll have battle damage, or they're out of ammo, or their batteries are borked. So we don't really want to waste time to try to get them to redock into the factory. I'd rather just print new ones, plus it's fun to watch. So let's go ahead and send this guy to his doom. We have signal number 51, which sends him to a muster point far off, and that's really just to make sure that he clears some of the buildings and stuff on his approach. We might be in the way, actually, so let's go ahead and move just a bit. We'll hop into spectator and watch this. There we go. He is lining up his approach, and then he's going to come in to get shredded up. And then in theory, when he gets into range here, we should see... Yep, there we go. The rotors are turning on. He's going to get into position, turn himself off, and just fall into the pit. There's sensors to pull these grinders back, so he drops in. Alright, there we go. Now he's dropped down. You can see him getting ground up by the actual grinders there in the floor. Well, it looks like he has perfectly fallen into an annoying place. But that, in theory, is what these pusher arms are for. Looks like we've had a couple casualties down here. But there we go. It is going to push him around, make sure he gets down into the pit and gets ground up. Alright, that is the shredder to take care of our skeeter drones when we are done with them. It was a pretty fun little project. Alright, the next thing on the list over here is the track building, so let's go ahead and land real quick. So here we have a landing pad that goes up to our Tardigrade and some other ships. Let's go ahead and take the elevator up. Up here on the landing pad, we've got 3 things to help us with the building. We've got a big projector unit, our Langoustine little mini welder here that's got just forward-facing welders. These thrusters here are extra. We had a lifting project at the apartment that we were working on, so those could probably be taken off. And then we have the Tardigrade here, which is pretty much just a tardigrade in a large grid form to lift up our track pieces. So before we get into the factory, let's go over here to the track. So the monorail here is built into sections, and so we've got this one has a connector, so I can disconnect it from the rest of the base to kind of save on some FPS. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so the monorail track is built into sections. So we've got one section here at the top that gets put onto uprights, and so that's what the projector ship is for. Is it projects these uprights here, and then we weld them in, and then we take the Tardigrade and put the rail pieces down. And we just kept doing that and building over there until we got to the apartment complex. So let's go into the factory. Let's go ahead and head into the factory here. Alright, so we've got a lobby to go upstairs to the control room, and then over here is the gigantic welding room. So we've got our rail sections being welded up here. We just got some fans on the side just to kind of add some light detail, which I think looks pretty cool with the sun shining through there. So yeah, these welder walls basically weld up each one of these sections, but they're only so tall. We pick these up with the tardigrade and put them onto the uprights, and so that's what that projector is over there with the little Langoustine, is we weld up the uprights and then we merge block on the rail, and then we fix up the blocks after the fact. And here on the wall we have all of our timers and event controllers that are controlling the welders and the doors. And go all the way around and go upstairs. Here we've got a little airlock that goes across a little catwalk to go into the warehouse and the Lobster parking. And then here is our control room, which I really never set up because we do it remotely from inside the Tardigrade to weld up and unmerge and do all that stuff. So we can just grab track pieces and go, and it'll start welding up new ones. All right, so instead of having an entire welder wall, we just have these guys moving back and forth and welding up the rail sections. So we can give that a stop so it goes back to the home position, gets out of the way so the Tardigrade can come down and pick up the pieces. And then we also have a door up here at the top. It's a little sticky sometimes. In theory, it's supposed to move all in unison, but sometimes the pistons get a little stuck. And I think it's getting worse as we get more subgrids on our world here. Right, there we go. The door closed pretty good on this attempt. Right, and then the very top floor, there is a control room. It's pretty empty, but in theory, it's to you know, guide the Tardigrade in to each one of the bays to grab a rail piece. Back down here, we have a hallway that goes across. We got a sky bridge. It's a pretty lengthy one. You can kind of see. Let's back up a little bit. See if we can see it through the skylight. There is a turret right there. There's a ball turret on this little mini tower here. So this is our little ball turret tower, and then this leads over into our SCADA factory. So there is the Tardigrade Bay that we were in earlier. So we are all connected. All of the pressurized spaces are able to be walked in one swoop without having to go through airlocks, which is really cool. Here we are at the top of the tower. This is one of the newer ones, so we've got refill stations and cargo access. And then we can get outside into another little airlock. This one doesn't have a vent, it's just one of the little mini spaces. So here we go, we got ladder access up here to the ball turret. There it is. So we got a little bit of defense. We got 2 more ball turrets over on the silo over there, but that's really it for defense. We should probably get a little bit more, but that's alright. We'll get there eventually. And then we've got catwalks all the way around. So this catwalk connects onto the SCADA factory. We've got stairs that go down the exterior of the building. Let's see, we can go down these stairs here and walk underneath here. And we've got a whole nother set of catwalks that connects all of these buildings together, so I can get over here to the warehouse. I can cross over that one to get over to the assembler. It's pretty cool. Alright, so over here we have our solar array and geothermal power plant. So let's go ahead and land here on the, let's just land here between the building and the batteries. Alright, here is building number 8. It is the geothermal power plant. So down here in this tunnel, I think I took everything out. I did. This drills the ice. We drilled a bunch of ice out of that core there, because we've got an ice deposit on this side, and then it extends over. And that gets sent into these O2H2 generators to make the hydrogen. So that's our O2H2 room here, and then that gets piped over into this room that's got a bunch of tanks. Looks like they're not quite full, but when we need extra power, we turn on these engines. So we've got 8 hydrogen engines with tanks attached to them, just some pipes and stuff overhead to give it some design. And then we've got a control room over here, which is just extending the drills down and controlling the engines. So we'll fill that in eventually, but there's really not much to do over here. The solar power is really keeping us afloat. We don't really need these engines. These are more of a backup in case we run out of power. But as you can see, our batteries are flickering between charged and not charged, so they're doing really good there. So these are battery banks. It's just got a bunch of batteries in it to make it look like an outside transformer box or something. Except for the last one over here is a door that has a tunnel down to the basement, which is just a bunch of grids, really. It's just a bunch of grids to connect everything together, so the power runs underground to this facility, and then it runs all the way over there to that pylon to connect up to the main base. All right, so we have 2 sets of solar arrays, 3 rows on this one and 3 rows on the other one. Here in the middle is the camera to do the solar tracking, so there is one event controller, or one custom turret controller on this entire section that rotates this main hinge, and then everything else rotates with it because it's got these posts in between that are connecting them to rotate everything. So let's go ahead and cheat a little bit and change the time of day. All right, so as the sun comes up here, the solar tracking will start tracking across the sky. We might be going a little too fast for it. There we go. Now it's tilting towards the sun, and you can see they all move in unison because those bars are moving back and forth. We'll see if we can catch it real quick. There we go. That rod is just driving parallel across, and it is moving all of these louvers together in one single swipe. So we only need to have one custom turret controller to control all of these arrays. I think it turned out pretty cool. Alright, now let's go ahead and follow the monorail track to the current project, the giant apartment complex. So this monorail is supposed to go to a launch site, which I think is going to be another 3 or 4 kilometers past the apartment, but got a little sidetracked and built an apartment complex, and then it has just grown into a big giant mega project, and I love it. Right, so here is our apartment complex. It's kind of a brutalist architecture, just a big A-frame that goes over top the monorail, so the monorail will come into these doors here. Alright, the doors are closed and pressurized right now, but this has the same functionality that the other base does, that once the doors open, the track here rotates over so the monorail can get inside. Alright, so the apartment is basically a bunch of modular units, so we've got all of these little bays, and somebody in the YouTube comments, and I need to find their name, had the brilliant idea of opening up to you guys to build your own modules, and so that's why we have all this variation in here. So if you guys want to build one, there's definitely empty spots left. There should be a link in the YouTube to the Steam template, and then also to join the Discord so you can get access to the channel to submit your project. Alright, let's come over to land on this side of the building actually, because I think this is one that has the working airlocks. Let's go ahead and try to find our small connector there. There it is. All right, let's go ahead and walk down here, and yeah, we're at like 48 FPS, so sorry for the kind of glitchiness of it, but it's kind of what we deal with how many subgrids and crazy contraptions you guys have come up with your modules. All right, so here is the airlock as we come out of our landing zone. If you fail your checkpoint, you come over here and you go to the interrogation room, which is in here. And then in theory, we'll have a security office. We are in the midst of working on that project. But over here, we can come and we go through the normal locker room area, and we are led up to our lobby. So here's our lobby with our elevators. We've got our, I don't know, ticket booth to buy a shuttle, I guess, from the landing pads. I still need to work on the LCD panels, but here's our little lineup kiosks to go onto a shuttle. That turned out all right. Again, the security station will be over there. But over here we have our medical center. This was definitely one of the most recent projects. So we've got our medical center here. We've got an elevator to go up to the second floor. This leads back into the diagnostics and patient recovery. So we've got some diagnostics there. We've got our main healing area here with our cryo chambers and medical bay. And then over here we've got like our patient recovery room, and this has got some gurneys, custom gurneys that we made. They're pretty simple, but they look pretty cool at the same time. So I'm really happy with how those turned out. And then just back here in the back corner is just some bathrooms and some refill stations, and then the stairs to go up if you don't want to take the elevator. But we're going to go ahead and take the elevator. There we go, we're up on the second floor. You can see the director's office here. We've got the nurse's station. This guy leads over to the break room. This is up over top of that ticket area. We've just got a little break room area, vending machine, and then we can see the catwalk that goes into the control tower for the landing pads. All right, here we've got our surgical center. We've got our little surgery arms. They don't move right now. We've talked about automating them, but right now they're just kind of static diorama style, but we can hop in. There we go. We're getting fixed up by our little robot friend, so yeah, I think that turned out pretty cool. And this has got that same custom gurney that was downstairs. And then we come over here, there's just another surgery center there with more arms and another medical room. And then through here, a couple episodes ago, we built the medevac shuttle. Nice and obnoxious emergency colors, but it's kind of the point, right? Looks like I still got the lights and stuff on, that's all right. We can come up here into the shuttle. We've got a button here for the ramp. I think this just controls the lights. We can close this door. It'll cycle an airlock in theory to let us into here, and then we can get into our cockpit. All right, number 3 should be to dock. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Docked up, and now it turns off the lights, opens all the doors, and opens the ramp so we can get direct access because we're in a pressurized environment. All right, let's go take the elevators down. So we've got an elevator system. It's a dual car. While this one goes down, the other one comes up. So let's go ahead and pick a floor. Let's just select them all. Right here on the 5th floor, we have Eggers build and deliver a lobby that gets into his module. A little glitch there to try to get these projectors loaded, but they offload with a sensor. Here we go, we can come into his module. He's got another projector here with another ship, his Manta. And then we got our little kiosk bot, the VIX bot. And then you can order all of the ships that he has, and I'm sure that list is growing now. All right, I won't show off every module here, but these hallways connect to each of the modules that we've hooked up so far. This is Super Nerd's module slash ship. And then here on the other side, we got a couple restrooms on that one and that one. And then in here is our waiting lobby to wait for the monorail. So we got a nice view outside. And then up here, I still got to get some advertisements on here, but this is where the monorail station is. So the monorail will park up into here. So this space will pressurize and depressurize. All right, so here on level 4, we have the Subroid Sushi, and then we have more modules as you come back here. All right, here on level 2, we have a little OK burger. Got some seating there, and then more modules as we go around. So it's just the same build as we go down. And then I think we can go all the way down to the bottom floor. All right, here is the bottom floor. Just got a lobby with some vending machines and a waiting area, and then various apartments around. If we come over to this one, so we'll head in here. This is the building we built the last episode. We wind around in here, and we are in the logistics office. So we've got a way downstairs there. We've got a desk and a little toilet and some storage, and then an airlock right here. So going this way, I have all of the air tightness disabled right now. It is definitely what is bogging down the processor. So I will probably upload the world without air tightness. You guys can turn it on and deal with the mess. But for now, we're at like 120 FPS with without air tightness. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that I need to clean up when it comes to that. So I'm sure it's like every module has a connector and all of the conveyors that are going to it and all the air tightness calculations it has to do. We could probably ease its load. All right, and down here is our cargo loading area for the apartment complex. So it takes those same cargo containers from the big warehouse over there at the main base, lifts them off and puts them on the truck. We don't have any of the logic set up, but this guy will come out, put a thing down and go back. That'll probably be next week's episode. And then in here, we just got a warehouse that's just got various parts and stuff in it. And then up here is our elevator controls. All right, now we need to head to the other side of the complex. We'll just head that way over this way. We'll just do it on foot, I guess. There is my color code. So if you want to copy any of the color code stuff, it's there's a block sitting there. But yeah, here is the inside of the apartments, all of the modules that are in. It looks really cool. And you got the elevators going up on either side. You can see how many different variations the guys have come up with. Really amazing stuff. All right, and then over here we have a pit that has our hab fab. So this is where we manufacture all of these habs, or at least as many as I can. Some of them with like the subgrids, like this guy with the escape modules. There is absolutely no way I'm printing that off and getting it put in with all the subgrids. So some of them are pasted, and I don't feel bad about that at all. But some of the other, you know, just single grid or a small amount of subgrid, we print off in here. So let's go ahead and open that door and go inside. There we go. The doors are reversing. We've got our lifter ship here. This is a terrible ship. It's supposed to be temporary. I didn't put that much effort into it because I honestly thought it was going to break. When we put in and snapped in some of these merge blocks, I thought it was going to be breaking off arms and doing all sorts of trouble, but it's actually held up pretty well. But it's just some landing gear, thrusters, some batteries, and barely some greebling. It has the same stuff as the apartments that it's supposed to be able to merge onto the apartment complex and charge itself up, but man, does it lock down the game when I try to merge and unmerge it. So we might just use the connector, but we are not using the merge at the moment. But yeah, just some cargo access, some refill, and then the cockpit, and you can see the batteries, and they are getting low. So we probably do need to connect this guy up to a connector soon. But yeah, this guy just has a projector and a merge block, and we can project and weld each module. So that welder comes back over here and then pulls back and welds everything up. And then in here we have an airlock. Like I said, I have air tightness disabled, so we'll just kind of do this manually. Once that door closes, this one is supposed to depressurize and then open this door, and you'll see them lock. And then those will cycle the airlock. Those are your controls for it. And then we can come upstairs here. Now we have another room over here. This will be the elevator controls for this side once we get to it. I might do just like a tutorial video for that or something, just so we're not wasting too much time in this series on an elevator that we already built on the other side. And then up here we have the logistics center. There is our brains of the operation that's running everything. We don't really have as much as I was expecting, so I was planning on having a wall of automation, but I don't think it requires a lot of automation. There's so much variation in the modules that it's not really worth doing. We have to do a lot of stuff by hand. So yeah, so we've got this control room up here that we can kind of look down and see, and a nice view outside. All right, well, I think that pretty much wraps up the tour of everything we've built, and eventually this track right here will continue on forward, and we will get to a launch site at some point and actually get off this planet. But we definitely got distracted by this gigantic apartment complex, but is one of the most fun projects I've had. You guys have submitted some awesome stuff. There's plenty of empty spaces if you guys want to add more, so definitely looking for more people to build some modules. But I think this is where I'm going to call it an episode. I will download this world to the workshop so you guys can explore it. I will keep the air tightness off so it's not so terrible on everybody's computer. I don't want to melt anybody's stuff. But yeah, this is where I'm going to call it an episode, and next week we will get back to probably the warehouse logistics, at least the controls, the brains of it. And please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.